Thanks for taking time on a nice summer evening to talk golf equipment a little bit. My name is Adam Barr. I'm the president of Miura Golf for 12 and a half. I've been doing that now for 3.5 years. And for 12.5 years before that, I was the business and equipment reporter for the Golf Channel and also for Golf Week magazine for a couple of years before that. So some of you, I'm sure, I've met at PGA merchandise shows and other places. It's a small world, golf is, which is one of the things that's attractive about it. And I'm just going to begin by giving, for those of you who don't know, a very brief and top-line outline of Miura's history. Miura, spelled M-I-U-R-A, as you know, is the family name of Katsuhiro Miura of Himeji, Japan, who is the patriarch of this company. He's going on 72 years old, extremely vigorous, has become a master of club design, and the region he comes from, the Kansai region of Japan, has been known for more than 600 years as a center of samurai sword making. The bottom line is these people know steel. Fast forward to 1957, when Miura-san was 16, he began to apprentice with club makers in central Japan and learn the business. So he learned how to do it, became better and better at it, got his sons involved in it. His sons are Yoshitaka-san, who is about 43 now, and Shinya-san, who is about 40. Yoshitaka-san is an expert tub grinder like his father, going along the same path. And Shinya-san is responsible for the forging of the clubs and basically running the company in Japan. Those of you who may not have seen it can find a video on our YouTube channel, on the Miura Golf USA channel, called A Visit to the Forge and Factory, in which we review in about 5 minutes our forging process. And the important thing about this is, as you all know from dealing with forged clubs, if you forge a club and you don't get it quite right, and there's a tiny little bubble or a void or what steel people call piping within the club, that's going to be like a hollow that, if it were a bottle and you hit it on the side of a counter, it would make a clanky sound. Same thing if you hit a golf ball with a club that isn't forged right and has this piping in it. Miura-san found, and by now I'm talking about the father, Mr. Miura, Miura-san found that if you forge the whole thing together, the whole L shape of the club plus hosel together, you take the risk of yanking the grain up into the hosel part. And you can make more of this piping no matter how good you are at striking with the hammer. So what he does is to forge the club from the heel to toe portion only. And then we have a process called spin forging that allows us to take the hosel, which has been made perfectly straight and drilled perfectly straight, and spin it at very high speeds with a machine onto the heel of the club, which has a flat space waiting for it. And the friction from that spinning makes a weld. The weld scarf can be finished off, and the club can be ground into shape at that point, into its final shape with the proper leading edge, proper trailing edge, proper sole shape, all of those things, chromed, and it operates as if it was only ever one piece. The result, the most important thing, is that in the business end of the club, the face, the heel to toe portion, the grain is perfect, it's small, and it's uniform. So imagine a jar of marbles. The marbles may be closely packed, but there's still spaces between them because they're marbles. Now imagine a jar of sand. There's almost no discernible space between the grains of sand. That's a better description of the grain inside of your club head. And for that reason, when people hit them for the first time, you see a look cross over their face. And it almost, if you put it in words, it would say, this is what I knew was possible in a golf club, and now I finally found it. And after that, you know this if you saw them. You don't have to do much talking. They will find a reason to buy them. They will find a reason to buy a set for their club in Boston and for their club in Miami, their club in New York, or their club in Phoenix. And if they aren't that kind of consumer, they'll find a reason to put off the new dishwasher until next year. They have to have them because of how good they feel. That is the Miura secret. That's what makes them worth it. That's what elevates and distinguishes them and makes the kind of customer that we're after. So that's a fairly long paragraph about what we're all about and why we're different and why we're looking for the customer who wants that elevation and distinction. This might be a good time to stop and take some of your questions about the basic nature of the company or anything you want to talk about pertaining to the way Miura does Ford tires.
Okay, Adam, this is Frank. I'm just going to look here, guys. Anybody has any questions and you want to raise your hand internally there on the attendees list, I'll look for it. If it's a little early for questions, no problem, but I just asked Adam if he would do that. I just didn't want to get too deep into this with any questions hanging out there. So let me review this one more time. And we have no hands up, Adam, so please go ahead.
That's fine. I can go on. I hope it says you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so you can see our website. And there's some things I want to show you about our clubs. Let's begin with the blades, which everybody knows about. This is our latest, and the Miuras have played around with muscle-back designs like this for years. I know one of the things that Miura-san, if you can see my mouse arrow, pays attention to a lot is where is the split in the muscle and what can be accomplished with the shape of it. And you can take any number of muscle-back irons. We don't talk about other manufacturers. A lot of them make very good clubs. But hold up any muscle-back that you're fond of next to this, and you can see some of them will have a straight line across. Some of them, this portion will be smaller. Some of it will be larger. Some of them will experiment with curves the way we do. What we found in a lot of our blades is that playing around with this shape right here, the split of the muscle, can change a lot of where the weight goes. And you can make a blade easier to hit or make it have a tendency to get the ball more airborne from one club to another. That's our latest. Switch now to our tournament blade, which has been in the line for more than 6 years now. And you can see the difference. The cut in this muscle, or the separation, it's not actually a cut, is much straighter than in the MB001, where we pulled it down a bit towards the toe. One of the reasons we knew that would work is we tried it in the left hand. You can see that goes down a bit towards the toe as well. So all these models feed each other through experience. They live their lives as, here's our small blade, sometimes called the baby blade. You see it comes straight across and then starts to fade as you get out to the toe. The way the Miuras do things, all these models spend a lot of time as prototypes. There's no set time for clubs to come out. We don't do it every January. We don't do it even every year necessarily. It's when a design matures enough to get out a prototype and they're confident that it's going to work well out in the world. Then it has a second life out in golfers' hands where actually we learn even more. And what we learn from one model ends up becoming 1 or 2 or 3 other models down the line. And the way I just briefly explained, the curved muscle separation on the left-hand blade taught us that we could do that in any club and play around with weight and center of gravity in a way that's still handsome and functional, but offers a lot of options. We now have 3 blades in the line. This tournament blade is the oldest, and it's going to go away eventually, but not right away. The small blade is one of those clubs that's so good looking it just stops people in their tracks. It is very short heel to toe, 15% smaller, so people think they can't play it, which I'll get to in a minute. That's not true. But we have a lot of choices. And getting into some of the cavity backs, the one I like to call the bread and butter, and Frank attested this, is our CB501. And you can see the cavity in this is not only has a split muscle inside of it, but also this weight bar, which is going to take down the center of gravity and help people get the ball a little more airborne. Now this club, when you put it down, looks like a blade, as you're aware of from other cavities all across the industry. When you put it down, you don't see this technology. But the important part is that as recently as 10 years ago, it would have been difficult to forge something like this. You would have had to cast it. 10, maybe 15 years. Now the forging technology, not just us, but across the industry, has gotten so good that you can make these shapes and make them accurately and make them sharp enough where you want to so that people don't look at them and say, you know what, that looks like that was kind of half-assed. It's not like that at all. as you'll see next week when the press